City Council of City of Poplar Bluff to be held on Monday, August the 6th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers. At this time, we'll have our invocation by the Reverend Greg Kirk from the United Gospel Rescue Mission.
I'd like to thank the City Council for asking me to come, and also like to thank the City Council for having the trust in me to be the chaplain of our fine fire department in Poplar Bluff. Father in heaven, thank you for this day, and I thank you for our great city, Father. May we make decisions that will make Poplar Bluff a better place. And Father, may your name be glorified in all that's said and done this evening. Father, I thank you for each and every man and woman who have given their time, Father, to come and help us make these decisions. And I ask that you will be with the public, Father, as they address their concerns and things are moving forward. Lord, I ask that you bless us in all that we say and do. In your mighty Son's name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you again.
And if you remain standing, we'll have Mr. John Ubeline from the NVETS post number 29 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Ubeline, and thank you for your service. We'll have a roll call, Ms. Kirby.
Councilman DeGaris.
Here.
Councilman Horton. Here. Councilman Cornman.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Black.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Here.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Kirby. At this time, we'll have disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or any matter discussed at a previous meeting. Seeing none. At this time, we'll have our citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. And first, we'll have Mr. Paul Carnahan. Mr. Carnahan, we'll need your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ernest Paul Carnahan. I live at 1426 Parkview Drive, Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And I have a complaint about a roofing company moving into a residential area. And they've been there approximately 3 months. They just run up and down, in and out. I've talked to the city manager, Mr. Massingham. He said he'd check into it. He has done that. And I don't know what I can do or what I can't do about it, but I think they've been there long enough in a residential area that they should be moved out.
Mr. Massingham, would you like to address that?
Yes, I talked to Mr. Carnahan, I think last week and again this morning, and I've talked to the city attorney. We're looking in to see what we can do. I think at first we all thought they had rented the house and they were just living there, but now it appears there's a ramp going up into the residence, and could be a handicapped ramp. I don't think it is. I think they may be actually storing materials in the house, which we can't allow that to happen in a residential neighborhood. So probably what I'll have the building inspector go out tomorrow and see if he can look inside and see what's actually going on and see what we can do.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we will follow up with you after the department goes out and checks it out. Okay? Thank you very much. And Chief Whiteley, I think you wanted to come forward.
Madam Mayor, Council, I just had a couple of updates I want to talk about. Back in March of this year, we had the CALEA assessors, which is a Commission for Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, inspectors. One was a retired chief from Deer Park, Texas. The other is a captain with the Kansas State Highway Patrol doing an on-site review of the police department. They went over 600 specific items involving our day-to-day operations, policies, and procedures. On July the 21st this year, we received our third reaccreditation from the Kalia assessors, and Deputy Chief Trout and Lieutenant Darren Moore were in attendance in Grand Rapids, Michigan on that date. And I might simply like to add there's only 5% of law enforcement agencies nationwide who reach this accreditation, international accreditation status. And I think it speaks well of the city, of the council, in support of that, and certainly proud of all the officers that do such a good job to keep this lofty goal, and I appreciate that very much. The only other thing, as you're aware, a couple of weeks ago we had 2 officers shot attempting to serve a federal search warrant. Detective Corey Mitchell and U.S. Marshal Mike Alford, both of them were really fortunate that had the bullet been 6 inches, 4 inches to the one way or the other way, both of them had been shot in the head, and we probably had 2 dead officers. But God was looking after them, and we finally got the suspect out of the apartment over there, and everything went good. And today I had a call from U.S. Attorney in Cape Dorado, Keith Sarl, who Mark knows, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions is coming to Cape next Thursday, a week from now, to have a one-on-one meeting with the entry team, and specifically Corey and Mike Alford, to give them some kind of a recognition for what they had done. We had a debriefing with the federal authorities, and of course our internal debriefing. Everything was done according to training, and we were just lucky that things worked out the way they did, and we praise God for that. And if you don't have any questions, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your leadership.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to have a citizen's input? Please come forward. Yep. Thank you very much. That's okay if you'll bring that. And even though you're handing this, we need you to state your name and address for the record, please.
Kenneth Bass, 2520 East Avondale, and Callie Davis of the same address. We have an issue with code enforcement. It seemed to us to be a profiling style situation, to where when we were issued a notice for violation, that it seemed like it was a constant, like once a month thing, that he was coming by our house, trash cans not having lids, or stuff in our front yard, to where we have 2 deputy sheriffs, well, the sheriff, a deputy, and a city officer all living within the same area of us, that nothing was being done with their property, but it seemed to be that our property was being targeted more than anything in the area.
We've lived in the home for 10 years, and we have never heard...
Can you speak into the mic for us, please?
We've lived in the home for 10 years, and we have never heard of the city ordinance about having a lid on your trash can. 10 years, we've never got a ticket, we've never got in trouble, anything. We're moving out now. We found a place out in the country because the city is getting so bad with this that we've moved out to the country. But right down the road, and I have lots of pictures of it, right down the road is your own Butler County Sheriff, who has a broken camper, so much stuff on his carport that it's spilling out everywhere, and no lids on trash cans. And when I had to go to court about it, I asked the judge, Your Honor, why does this person have all this, but I'm told I can't even have anything in my yard? He said, take it up with the city council. So that's what I'm doing.
It was to the point that we were told we couldn't have a stool and a chair where we were mowing the grass that day. He went by the following Monday, and we left the stool and the chair out there, and we were told we could not have that there.
I actually have pictures of all that, and I was like, but your own sheriff down the road has so much stuff everywhere, and you have another sheriff over here with all kinds of stuff in his backyard, and it's no offense to the sheriffs, but it's like we felt like we're being profiled, and it's like, this is not right.
We have the city inspector lives up above us, We have a city officer that lived below us. Sheriff Dobbs lives 2 blocks over from us, and one of his deputies lives around the corner from us, back around onto Oak Hill. And the deputy has the camper and his trash cans with no lids, trash on the ground. Nothing's being said to them,
And
but
if afterwards you would like to speak to me and I show you pictures of all this, I would be more than happy to, because I've been doing this as a course of the weeks to see, and I can pull up the timestamps when I took the pictures. And this has been going on for a course of weeks now that I've watched their trash cans spilling over all the way down the road. Nobody has any lids on their trash cans. And I'm like, why am I paying a $150 ticket when no one else seems to be getting in trouble for this? I took the guilty plea for my yard being overgrown. I took that because that was my responsibility. But I felt like it was unfair for me to not have the lids on the trash cans, because I don't just go around reading the city ordinances all the time. I don't have time for that. I have a family. But after 10 years, you would think that somebody would have said something after a point in time instead of, now you have a big ticket. I had to take time out of my day to go to court twice now. because
I'm an
of this.
over-the-road truck driver, and they were explained, I'm an over-the-road truck driver. I can't just appear to do this stuff. It has to be when I'm in. And at the time we were being violated for this stuff, it was raining. Every time I came in, it rained. You can't get out in the yard, especially on that hill over there, and mow when it's that way, because all you're going to do is spin and make ruts in your yard. You're not going to be able to cut the grass. The only other issue was that the ditch line that is behind the grass separates city and county. Nobody wanted to say, this is our ditch. I contacted the city, I talked to the county, they said that it's not ours, it's not ours. And because of that, we had an erosion problem with the backyard, to where when we block things up back there, we got another violation for putting stuff back there blocking
We
it
put
up.
tires along the whole fence trying to keep the erosion, because we had a dog. We had one dog, and she keeps getting under the fence because of the erosion. So we lined it up with tires. This is in a huge 2.5-acre fenced-in backyard. And we were told that every one of the tires had to be removed, even though they were neatly stacked up all the way around it because of the erosion problem. Like he said, we can't get anybody to claim this ditch behind Avondale, between Oakdale and Avondale. County says it's not theirs, city says it's not theirs, but yet we get the ticket for it because we're trying to keep our fence from falling.
We're trying to
over.
keep in compliance with the animal control to keep our dog in the yard. So therefore, by blocking up it with the tires, we're in compliance for them, but we're in violation with the city, or with the code enforcement officer for having the tires in the backyard. So, and it seemed like it was every little thing we've done with the property. Code enforcement's been out there giving us grief over it.
He said that he sent tickets, but he also admitted to the court that he did not get any signatures back. When I finally did get one of these tickets, he had put it in the door. Thank goodness he did that, or I would have a warrant right now for my arrest, because we've been actively moving out of the residence.
We still own it, but we're just moving into the county because, honestly, I'm tired of dealing with it.
We're tired of dealing with city on this, that if a piece of paper falls in our yard, we're getting a ticket. Prime example, a few years ago, my grandson, we put a little kiddie pool on our carport. Little kiddie pool. We got a ticket for that. The man right across the yard from us has had a full-size pool up on his carport for over 3 months. The same city inspector lives right beside us.
No, the city inspector does. The code enforcement hasn't said anything to him about his pool on the carport, but
You
He's
actually
telling-
got a ticket for the carport, for the pool on the carport?
We got a violation, or notice of violation that we had to take the pool down off of our carport because it wasn't in a fenced-in area. And anybody could come up and get into it, therefore we would be liable for it. So we had to take ours down, but he has the exact same style pool.
This was a dollar store pool that we had.
Well, I mean, I had a bigger one and we got a notice of violation. We had a kiddie pool for just our grandkids just to go out and jump in. We got told we had to take it down, but he has a full-size pool right across the road and nothing's been done with it.
What really got me was when I went to court the other day, and he said that right before my court date, he had drove by and taken pictures of the property and told the judge there's still a couple of stools on the carport and things that I would like removed. And I addressed the court and said, Why can I not even have a stool and a chair on my carport, but there are 3 to 4 houses right in that area, right there, that have so much junk all over their carport. I drive by and I see people with chairs, lawn chairs, furniture, toys. We were told we can't even have toys in our yard.
They
for
wanted our swing
grandchildren.
set put in the backyard instead of up front where my grandkids could play on.
Our hill it's a straight hill in the backyard. There's nowhere for a swing set. But we got it all cleaned up. The things that we knew were messy, we took responsibility for, but the things that we knew were nonsense, like the lid on the trash can, and the being told we can't have even toys out in the front yard or a stool sitting on our carport. It irritates me that I drive by and I see all these houses with all this junk everywhere, and I'm like, the response from the judge was, if 10 people were driving by and you got pulled over, would you take a responsibility? I said, the first day I would take responsibility, but if the second day 10 people sped by you speeding, would you go after me again, or would you go after others? And he thought that was a pretty wise answer, and he said, you can also take this up with the city council if you feel this is all unjust. And I'm doing that, because as many people as I've talked to, everybody has said, this is not fair. That's our complaint, and I would be happy. I tried to call, I think, Mark? is it?
Yes, I actually tried to call you back this afternoon, but missed you, so.
Yeah, we're kind of hit and miss, because I live out in the country now and I can't get service, so it's kind of hit and miss. But I'm the one that's been calling you, trying to get this done. So that's our
So did you get actual tickets for the trash
I
can
have
lid?
a $150 fine right now.
But is that for,
It's for the no lids on the trash can and the grass needing to be mowed. And we had a burn pile out back with like downed limbs and stuff like that, which we went over, we took care of all that. We mowed the grass. And when she went back to court, she took the plea for the grass because, we just had not had time, and with it raining the last couple times I'd been in, she doesn't pull a trailer, I do. So the only ways the mowers are going to get over there is if I pull them in. And with it raining, there wasn't any sense of trying to. So she took the guilty plea for that, and I mean, for the trash can lids, it was,
When I explained that there was no water on the Avondale house to burn this pile down to get it, I was told to take it to the landfill. I have now found out the only landfill now is, I believe, in Dexter, from what I'm understanding. See, I wasn't aware of this. And
we
so-
do buff up the bluff twice a year, but, just finding that window and it's past, for the
Right.
spring. But yeah, that is, we are working on getting a transfer station here in town. It's in process, but it, of course, doesn't take care of your problem. But it is a much needed situation because people have things to haul off, and they would if they had a place to take it. So we are working on that. Now that you have vacated the property, is it going to be a rental home, or who's going to maintain it
It
now?
belongs to USDA. It's not vacated yet. We went from a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-kitchen home to a modest little 3-bedroom out in the country so we could have more land and freedom. So we're going to be moving out probably
we still
for
have a
like 6
storage
months.
shed and everything on property. My car is still sitting on property, which is
But
legally
who will
licensed.
maintain it now that you're leaving?
We're still maintaining.
You're still going to maintain it?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We've canceled the trash service at that residence because there's no sense in it being there, couldn't with us being out in the county. But like we had said, I've lived in this town since I was 8 years old and have never heard of an ordinance about trash can lids. And, for him to write us up over that,
Well, it sounds like it was a multitude of things. It wasn't just the trash can
Right.
lid. That just got thrown in the pile of the other
right,
violations.
And we were told he could write that every day, even though it gives you a notice to have it fixed
By law, they
within-
can, uh-huh.
within a certain amount of time. The judge had told her that he could go by and write it up every day if
You
he wanted
can.
to.
Mhm.
Right.
Even though you have a 7 to 10 day window to correct the problem that's stated on his violation notice.
I think it's a state statute, isn't it? It's a state statute that mandates that, not the city. The city has to follow the state statutes, and so that's where that's coming from.
People dump animals off on that Grenville Road all the time over on Avondale, around that curve in that area. Animals are horrible with tearing up trash in that area. And we do everything you can. You try to build stuff, you try to put bricks on the top of it. The raccoons are crazy, they'll tear up everything.
They're all over town, trust me. The raccoons are tearing up trash everywhere.
I've been for 10 years and raising 9 kids there. I've never been in trouble for anything, and I know my yard has been worse than that with having kids dragging toys out and everything. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to sell a house right beside my house. So between the realtor, the city inspector, the sheriff down here, and now a new one over here, I'm like, okay, why am I being griped at about every single thing? And when this is all over
And
with,
honestly, you don't know that they're not, because you don't know what tickets they've received. You're feeling like you're the only one being
Yeah.
picked on, but you really don't know. I mean, they could be in court as well, or have gotten violations or warnings. I mean, we don't, any of us know sitting
I know in
here.
the course of weeks, nothing has been changed with any of them. That's why I did the timeline.
But
with-
sometimes people get violations and don't change things, they pay the fine,
Butler County
unfortunately.
Sheriff-
But we're trying to clean our town up. We're all very actively working toward getting our town cleaned up and trying to remedy some of these situations. And I'm sorry you've had to go through this difficulty, but Mr. Massingham, do you want to address it, or?
In the next couple of weeks, if I still see no change in like the Butler County Sheriff's House that's worse than mine, do I approach the council again?
You can approach the council, but it doesn't have to come to our business meeting here. City Hall is open every day, Monday through Friday, and you can always make an appointment with Mr. Massingham or myself
Okay.
and come down and talk. You don't have to come to this venue and go through this process. You can sit at the desk one-on-one and see if we can't get to a solution for
I
everyone.
was actually told by the secretary, I believe today, that this meeting was being held tonight and that I could.
And you're welcome at Citizens Input anytime, but I'm just saying you don't have to wait. We only meet twice a month on a Monday, and so if you've got a situation in 5 days from now, you don't have to wait till our next meeting. You can always call City Hall, make an appointment with the city manager. You can call myself, any of the council members. I mean, we're all open to that. We don't know until you tell us. But this is a way to get it on the books, and then we'll see what we can do to address it.
When would be an appropriate time to show someone the pictures as to what I'm talking about?
Well, we really don't need to see them here, but you can meet with Mr. Massingham, possibly in his office, and go through that, and then they can print them if they need to.
I would like to do that.
Yeah,
I would
because
like
this is really just what's on our agenda, our business meeting,
Okay.
but we'll be more than happy to look at those pictures
I
in
feel
an
that-
appointment in his office.
I feel that would help, because when I show you, you're just gonna be like, this is their yard, and this is your yard, and you can't even
Mm.
have a stool in your yard, because we have a beautiful home.
Yes.
And we can't even put a chair on our carport, and this is the other person's house?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that neighborhood, and it is very sporadic. It's super nice homes and some
Yeah.
not so nice, exactly.
So, but.
Yeah.
but
I did
that's-
drive through there late last weekend, and I know of two of the places she's talking about that do need to be cleaned up. I haven't checked to see if they've had tickets written to them yet, but
And we can follow up
certainly
on
will,
that.
so.
I do appreciate that. I did ask your secretary if I came to this meeting, if it's actually listened to, or if this is one of the things, because we're citizens, that it's just thrown by the wayside, and she did assure me that things are looked into when we bring up meetings like this, that it is dealt with, and we're just not dismissed.
Would you please come write your phone, your contact numbers on here? We don't need to announce that, but if you'll write that on here, and then you can get a hold of Ms. Kirby, or you can call, make an appointment, or Mark.
I just have one question. Kenny, what kind of stool were you talking
Yeah,
about?
what's a good time?
A chair in the yard or?
One of them came
carport?
from literally our large kitchen table. We just brought it out to sit on while we were mowing. And
Kinda
then the
like
other
a-
is just a regular,
Kind of like a bar stool or something?
yeah, bar stool. And then
Okay.
we had it out on the
Do you have
carport
City
also
Hall's
sitting
phone
on.
number?
And then we were using the bumper of my car and just leaning up and sitting
So
on
you-
it.
You're welcome to
And
call
when we
in as
left, we
well.
didn't take them
Should just
back
have to
into the
check-
house.
check
We
his
just moved them
schedule and
up
coordinate all
near
that.
the car. And when he came by, when they were in court, he said,
Oh,
you
I'm
know,
so
those he
sorry,
would
too,
like
but-
removed.
But we'll address
I
it
had
and see
a
what we can do. I'm sorry you're leaving our
little
city.
swing that sat out there for years, and he never complained about it. So I couldn't figure out what the difference was between the little porch swing that was sitting there and two chairs.
Oh,
You have a
okay.
landline, okay?
Okay, I just wanted to
That way we'll
clarify
have,
that.
because
Thank
many
you.
times we don't have contact numbers to get a hold of people, and then I just want you to have to announce it. Okay? Uh-huh. Thank you.
Thank you guys for this.
Any other questions from the council or from you all? All right, thank you very much, and we will sure follow up on this. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come up for the citizens' input session? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our workshop items for discussion. Item A, the city council will review bids received from the Poplar Bluff Trails Project, PP Highway for the pedestrian bridge. Mr. Massingham?
Yes, as you said, this is part of the trail system that we've been getting grants through MoDOT. This goes across the, next to the bridge on PP Highway. The low bidder was Joe's Bridge and Grading. Total combined bid was $336,124, which was actually below the estimates and is recommended for City Council approval. Mr. Cobb is here from Smith & Company if anybody has any questions concerning the bridge or the project.
Do you want to come forward in case they have questions? Or you have something to share with us on that?
I think it's the same thing. Maybe you already have. But Billy Cobb with Smith & Company, 901 Vine Street. It's the bid tab. Hopefully y'all received it. If you don't, I can pass this around. But like Mark already said, the low bidder was Joe's Bridge and Grading, and we had 6 bidders total. 3 of them were below our estimate. 3 of them were right around our estimate or slightly higher. So we've worked with Joe's on countless bridge projects. That's sort of why they bid this. It has a little bit of sidewalk trail project with it, but mainly it's the bridge over Pike Creek that's adjacent to the PP Highway Bridge or Canal Boulevard. So they're a good contractor. They'll probably get it done pretty quickly. They move pretty quickly, and we would recommend the City Council accept that bid.
Okay, is there any questions from the council? And due to the timeline, we need to do a workshop and vote this tonight?
Yeah, and then the city city/street Parks Department, with the agreement with MoDOT, this is an 80-20 grant, so MoDOT's paying for 80%. It needs to be constructed by the end of the year, which shouldn't be a problem for Joe's as long as we can get them the notice and go ahead. After the City Council approves, then I got to get it to MoDOT, and then MoDOT has to give concurrence also, and so it's probably going to be the end of the month by the time I get all that done. So we're hoping that the City Council can vote on this tonight, if possible, and that way I can get it to MoDOT, get the go-ahead to the contractor by the end of the month, beginning of September, and then they got from September to the end of the year to get it done. So, which shouldn't be a problem, but.
And this is another one that we have to take the low bid, isn't that correct?
Yes, it's like I said, it's MoDOT funded, unless there was some extreme reason why that we could point out that Joe's was not qualified or there was something wrong with their bid, which we have no reason to do that. We have to go with the low bid. So.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to move this to the voting session to be held tonight.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Billy. Item B, the City Council will review bids received from professional demolition, land clearance services, and asbestos abatement services relative to the flood buyout project. Mr. Matt Winters.
Good evening. This is the flood buyouts over 2nd and Grand Street. There were 7 houses left. The first group was all cleared up a year or so ago, and this is the remaining 7. We did get 2 bids. The low bidder was Gary Dornan. He's actually the one that did the first round of them too. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to.
Are there any questions for Mr. Winters?
And we
Make
would
a motion, we'll move this item to the voting session tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and second to move item B to the voting session to be held tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Winters. Item C, the City Council will review transfer of assets from the City of Poplar Bluff to the Poplar Bluff Municipal Library. Mr. Massingham?
Yes, we have, I know, several members of the library board here tonight, and also their attorney. I think they wanted to address the council and kind of brief them on what they were talking about. I don't know if the attorney is or Mr. Robbins.
Thank you, Mark. Scott Robbins, Kennedy Robbins in Yarborough, 1165 Cherry Street. I'm the attorney for the board. I know you really don't want to hear from the attorney, so the board has asked me to give you a brief overview and then let the director and assistant director provide you with some more of the information. I believe the board has, or the council has before it, the proposed transfer agreement that I had drafted and sent to the city attorney. For your knowledge, the Poplar Bluff Library is more properly known as the Poplar Bluff Municipal Library District. It is a separate political subdivision of the state of Missouri under Section 182.480 of the Missouri Revised Statutes. The district has authority to issue or to impose a sales tax to create revenue for the library, which it has done so pursuant to state law, Section 182.802. And the district is, if you will, married to the city, and that the city council, acting with the mayor's approval, appoints the 9-person board of trustees. So that is the relationship there. The reason for moving forward at this time is just wanting to get things lined up as bond issues come off the book. And so I'd like to introduce the director and the assistant director of the library to give you a little bit more background on why we're bringing that forth at this time.
I promise I'm not handing all this out to you. I brought it in case you had questions for me or not. I want to thank you all for allowing us to address you this evening. We passed a sales tax in 2012 in order to further the library, and in furthering the library, we made promises to our public and to our citizens in this town. And those promises were that we would continue to have a good library, but more than a good library, that would be able to expand our services to this community. The library has been constructed and maintained with library tax revenues and gifts from private donors, and this has been going on since 1917. I think you all have a lot to be proud of in your community with this public library. We serve over 100,000 citizens every year, sometimes seeing as many as 400 to 450 people come through our doors. We want to continue to maintain our promises of good service and providing service to this community, but beyond that, we also want to help our city grow and to become the best it can be. And as you may know, everybody who comes in and looks at economic development, they look at not only airports and streets and schools, but they also look at public libraries and parks and recreation, because those are the things that make a town attractive to people wanting to move here. We feel that as a result of the time, effort, and funds that we have put into this library, we need to have a library that we can be able to grow and move forward, and that means that we need collateral to be able to provide services. At one time, our library was within less than a half mile to a mile of every school in this city. Now your public library is as much as 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 miles from the public school. We want to be able to have a place for those children to go and to get the services they need to be able to be good citizens and to grow. Shannon?
As Sue said, we're pretty sure that all the research and the documentation we have shows that library tax revenues and private gifts to the library have constructed and maintained the location on Main Street. We have some of that with us tonight. If you have more questions for us about the history of the library tax revenues or the history of the library building that was built there on site on Main Street in 1936, we'd be happy to answer those for you tonight.
I think that would be an excellent thing for you to review, because there's many people in this room that were not around or have not known the history of it as us that have grown up here. So if you could help us with that, that would be great.
Okay.
Like when we acquired it, when did we acquire the Henderson Clinic or the parking lot that was the old Poplar Bluff Hospital? Yeah, if you could share that with us, that would be wonderful.
Okay. So the original building was built in 1936. 45% of the funds for that was a federal grant money, and the rest was a local match in local dollars. And there was bonds passed at that time. The Hendrickson Clinic was gifted to the city of Poplar Bluff. At that time, it was going to be used as a library annex. The building wasn't structurally sound enough to use, so the decision was made to demolish that building, and the voters approved the expansion of the library in the 1995 ballot initiative for the capital improvement sales tax, and that's even written into the ballot language, and so the money from the capital improvement sales tax paid for the 1997 expansion.
Okay.
And then in 2008, the library was renovated once more, and that money, the money used for that was the $1 million gift from Cape Porter, and then there was an additional $150,000 raised in private gifts to pay for that renovation from citizens of Poplar Bluff.
Okay.
Since 2013, the library has invested over $600,000 in the building, and that does not include our liability and property insurance or anything like that. That includes the maintenance of that building. That includes a roof. We had to put a roof on recently. Those are pleasurable things, aren't they, ladies and gentlemen? And we have also done painting. We've maintained the parking lot. We've added a fence. Some of the fence was done with gift money. And we have also invested in maintaining that building. And I would say that it is, and redone the parking lot. I would say that you have a beautiful building downtown. And when I say you, I'm saying you as citizens have a beautiful building in downtown Poplar Bluff. And I think it's a jewel in this town. So we have tried to be good stewards of the money that the taxpayers have entrusted us. And we have gone through and carried through with our promises to the citizens.
I'd like to say a couple things.
Sure.
Somebody asked me this afternoon if the city still spends money on the building, and we don't, and we haven't since the passage of the sales tax. The library has taken care of the building themselves. Like Sue said, insurance, everything. We used to do the library's payroll and bookkeeping and accounting. We don't do any of that anymore. It's all been transferred to the library since the sales tax passed. Also, something that happened back after the sales tax was passed, the sales tax took effect in, I think, that fall, and normally what was happening with the library was they kind of ran behind in their cash account every year, and then when the real estate and personal property tax came at the end of the year, it built their reserves back up. Well, that year, the sales tax went in effect, so they did not collect any real estate or personal property tax. So what happened was they had a negative cash balance of approximately $490,000. I think Mr. Bagby and myself, and I can't remember if it was Sue or Jackie. It was Sue. And
2013.
we all met, and they agreed to pay back that over a 5-year period, which they've been paying $97,957 a year. This is the last payment on that, and they pay that in December. And also part of this was the library building was used for collateral on those bonds. Well, those bonds will be paid for this September. And our discussion back then, and I guess I would just kind of call it a gentleman's agreement, is when the money was paid back and the library building came off as collateral, then it would be transferred over to the library. Of course, that was a different council back then, and I really don't know if Mr. Bagby ever discussed that with the council, but that's what I recollect from that meeting, and I think Sue does also. So I just wanted to give you a brief history there of what's happened on our side. So.
Any questions from the council?
The June 2nd, 2014 meeting of the City Council was where the memorandum of understanding was approved that we would pay those dollars back. And
The $400,000+.
Yes, and it's the last payment is $98,000. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but around $98,000. We'll make that soon, either December 1 or as soon as our board meets and we approve the.
You may want to get with me on that, because I think over these few years there's actually been a little bit of real estate, personal property tax that may have came in, so it may actually be less than that, but we'll get together.
Well, sometimes you slit your throat, and I'm about to slit my own throat here, or maybe the library's throat. In the transfer agreement, we say we will forego those dollars. We knew that there might have been some taxes in arrears, but I thought my recommendation to both the attorney and to the Board of Trustees was that we would forego that amount in order to keep good faith.
Can you explain to us the library tax, like how it's used, how it's collected?
It's a sales
for the public as well.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mayor. We receive our tax dollars from the Department of Revenue. They're collected as sales tax. It's a quarter-cent sales tax. We receive a quarter-cent on all sales in this city limits of Poplar Bluff, except, of course, as you all well know, 8 Points. And we receive 1/8 from the 8 Points district. Then we receive that. It goes directly into our bank account, and that's the revenue that we use then to run the library and to meet all of our obligations to the community.
Okay. So the citizens purchasing, or people purchasing items in the city limits of Poplar Bluff is who's actually paying that tax.
That is
So if you live in
correct.
the county, you live out of state, no matter where you live, if you purchase something in the city, then you are actually paying a part of the library tax.
Well, can I brag?
Yes.
As a result, our Board of Trustees in 2012 made the decision, because not just the citizens of Poplar Bluff pay that sales tax, but also we consider this as a shopping center. And so this, we not only Butler County, but Stoddard County, Dunklin County, Wayne County, Carter, and Ripley County can enjoy the services of our library because they pay taxes in this city.
That's
And
excellent.
I think that I'm kind of proud of what we've done.
That is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, and we're bragged about across the state of Missouri. I want you to know that this library is considered top-notch.
Okay. So who's in charge of the library? Is it the county commissioners?
No,
Is it
it's done the Board of Trustees.
The Board of Trustees?
Which is appointed by the city council by statute.
Uh-huh.
And so and at that point, then the Board of Trustees have two responsibilities, basically. One is to hire and fire the director. I hope the word hire is what's used. I like my job and I love what I do.
And you've done excellent.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And second of all, to pass a budget.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to also say that we have done a good job. As I told the Board of Trustees tonight, and excuse me for speaking too long, but January 22nd, I became the director of 2013 of this library, and we had $80,000 in the bank. I would like to brag and say that we have built our reserves to the point that we could operate 1 year or more on the funds that we have in reserves. So I think we've done a good job and been good stewards of the monies that have been entrusted to us by this city.
Yes, that's excellent. Thank you very much for your service and dedication.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to the lady that's standing beside me here, and that's Shannon Midyett. She's done a great job. She keeps me in line.
Wow, this is a lot to take in. Any other comments or questions from the council? I appreciate the history, because I know, even though we've lived here, it's hard to remember how we acquired all that and what goes to what. You guys are very good at explaining that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments here?
Mr. Manager, as we would release this, I understand they're concerned to have it if they needed the collateral. Presently, we do technically, I guess, own it. How big of an issue is it that we are relinquishing, that the city is relinquishing collateral?
When we did the bonds in 98, I guess, I think the original bonds were in 96, but we used the library, we used the Coliseum, and we used the City Hall at 101 Oak Street as collateral. I mean, for future use, if we were to do bonds for a new City Hall and police station or separate buildings, I think those buildings would be used for the collateral. You know, we had the Coliseum, which approximately cost us $14 million. There's money there for collateral. I mean, my personal opinion, I don't see where we would need the library for collateral on anything. That's just looking into the near future, but.
You have a recommendation to the council from your chair?
Well, I kind of go back to the meeting that we had several years ago, and Mr. Bagby and I, like I said, it was kind of a gentleman's agreement that when all of this was said and done and paid back and the bonds were paid for and the collateral was gone, that it would be transferred over to the library. And like I said, I don't know what was discussed with the council at the time, if anything, but That was my recollection, and I just hate to go back on what I call a gentleman's agreement, but
Thanks, sir.
Any other comments? Questions? Do you all have any else that you want to input?
I think we should always say thank you for all the grace that we've been given, so thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I understand what you're saying on the gentleman's agreement, but when we're dealing with taxpayer dollars, and they, back in 1936, did the matching to that 40% grant, I think we need to think this through. Since it's not in writing, it's, a gentleman's agreement is not really good business, and you're dealing with other people's money. So I just feel like we might need some more input to this. Anyone else feeling this way, or is it? You all feeling like transferring the library over? Do you feel like we need more information? I mean, this is a lot to take in.
Why is there such a need to transfer it over? I mean,
I don't know what the urgency is. I think they're just wanting to do some housekeeping from what they had agreed to 20 years ago.
I think so.
Is that, I don't mean to paraphrase, is that right? Really? This is just something not to take lightly. I just think we need to discuss.
I agree that nothing should ever be taken lightly, Mayor. And you were asking about a sense of urgency. It's not a sense of urgency, but it's a matter of making that commitment and making sure that we follow through with the gentle person's agreement that was made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's where we're coming from, is that we just want to move forward and know that we're assured that we can begin planning. As I said, beginning January 1, we almost have another $100,000 in our budget in order for us to plan and move forward. If we don't, the later we go, the less time we have for planning.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're assured that we're going to be able to have these funds available to us and to be able to move forward, then we've got it,
Mm-hmm.
the collateral that we need to be able to move forward. And I'm not saying we're going to do that in 2019, 2020, or 2021, but we have to be able to plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a good government organization plans for its future.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you all have, excuse me, I apologize. Do you have any other questions for me?
Does council have any other questions?
And I'll be glad to come back and answer further if you need me to.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all, have done a great job over there.
Yes.
Thank you.
There's
and
no,
I appreciate it.
yeah, no doubt about that.
Has
You've
it
done tremendous.
being in the building being in the city's name hindered your progress in any way?
I don't think anyone would know the difference, and I hate to say that they wouldn't know the difference. It just makes a difference to us, and it makes a difference to the loan officer.
Mhm.
That's who it makes a difference to.
Mhm.
And I just feel like we have to have that kind of assurance.
And unfortunately, most of us were not here during that time or a part of that gentleman's agreement, so that makes this a very difficult
Right.
discussion.
And we do have the memorandum of understanding, and it does not address the actual transfer of the building, but it does talk about the fact that we've met our financial obligations.
Okay. And we appreciate that. You've been
Thank
very
you.
diligent in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Do we want to move forward with this? Do we want to table it?
I understand the library's concern for collateral. I also have concern for collateral for us, for the general fund. And the gentleman's agreement it's a shame that we don't have a record that will help us. And I'm not doubting those who have spoken to it in any way at all. I accept their word. I'm a little struggling between what our responsibility is, though, if there is nothing, And it seems like the higher responsibility for this council is to make sure that we have collateral moving forward. So I feel.
It's a tough
I feel
spot.
a little, I don't, you know, I have a reservation about going either way with this. But I guess I'm leaning to take care of our house, you know.
Mr. Robbins, did you have something else you wanted to say? This is good discussion. I'm so glad that we're where we can do this.
Right, and I do want to keep the discussion going. I appreciate Mr. Black's concern. There is no writing of the agreement, but it is spread on the council record in the June 2nd, 2014 meeting, and was reported by the DAR in David Silverberg's article of that meeting, that was the discussion, that when the payoff was made, that the building and the parking lot would be transferred to the library. So when we talk about a gentleman's agreement, we are, as I understand that term, talking about a verbal agreement that's not signed. There's no official contract between the two entities, but it is, for any of you who want to go back and look, you do a very good job of keeping your records of these meetings. I was able to view the video this afternoon of that meeting, and that is the discussion both in the meeting and as confirmed in the newspaper. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that while there is no official written document, there is record of what the discussion was.
Thank you. Do you have any input? Anybody else have input? Well, at this time, we entertain a motion to move item C or not. What is the pleasure of the council?
I motion we move it to the August 28th voting session.
I have a first. Do I have a second to move item C to the August 28th voting session?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor? We have two in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
So it sounds like it failed. Do we need to count? You want a roll call? Let's do a roll call since it's not real clear.
Councilman DeGaris.
No.
Councilwoman Horton.
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
No.
Councilman Smith.
No.
Councilman Black.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
No.
It's 5 no, 2 yes votes.
Okay, so item C will not move to the voting session on August 28th. Mr. Standard, would you like to come forward and speak? Would you like to come forward and speak? No. Okay.
Sure.
Moving on to item D, the City Council will discuss a request from residents on Barron Road to lower the speed limit on Barron Road. Mr. Massingham?
Yes, we've had a request from somebody that represented several residents asking to lower the speed limit on Barron Road from 35 to 25. I know I've discussed this with a couple of council members. I think you had some information from the police department on some traffic statistics and the letter from the resident explaining why they feel like it should be changed. I hesitate to say too much because I live on Barron Road and I have heard some of the residents complain about the speed. But, of course, when you set the speed limit at 35, most people drive 40 or 45. I will have to say I drove down Barron Road this morning at 25 and it seemed awful slow, but and I will admit too that I've driven on Barron Road at 45 miles an hour. I'm as guilty as anybody else, so it's going to be honest about that. But I'll just kind of open this up for discussion. The chiefs.
Speed trap. It's been documented now. There'll be a ticket in the mail.
I don't think he was Mirandized.
Well, I've had people whip past me on Barron Road when I'm going the speed limit. They'll go by and pass me.
Uh-huh.
Well, now, the people that are driving 45 if you lower the speed limit to 25, they're still gonna drive 45, that same group of people. So, I don't know, you're darned if you do and darned if you don't, I guess.
Well, since that, most of our residential streets are 25, and, I really hadn't, and even after being out on the road for 33 years on it, I couldn't have told you that was 35 mile an hour. But I think anytime in a residential area and there's, kids, it's not that wide of a road, I think lowering the speed limit would be a good idea for safety reasons. And enough publicity, people know that's down to that, that's gonna make them more aware of it and probably slow a lot of them down.
Would you go down to 25 or split the difference at 30?
I'd go to 25 like every other residential street.
Not everywhere.
Not all of them.
North Main Street, isn't there a section that's 30 or 35?
There's some on Main Street that's 35. There's actually, I was looking through the ordinance to see if it was the traffic engineers or the council's engineers, and from what I could find, if all speed limit in the city is 25 unless designated by city ordinance, that would change that, which I assume at some point, maybe not, there was an ordinance passed to make that 35. Most of them are 25, but as mentioned in the letter, coming down Westwood Boulevard in front of all those businesses, a 5-lane highway, it's also 35, so.
It was probably sometime around the time when they did the traffic study and put the stop sign in,
Probably so.
because there was a lot of controversy then about trying to slow them down. Do you think, you as our traffic engineer, do you think stop signs would help or speed bumps along the way? Would that slow them down any?
We actually talked about stop signs, and there actually has been studies that show that stop signs don't actually slow them down. They may stop, but then they speed up to catch up with their, I think in shorter spans of streets that maybe stop signs help, but on a long street like that, because we talked about maybe putting one at 14th and Barron, but as soon as they stop, they're going to take off again until they get to Main Street.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I see that, but Barron Road is pretty much a major thoroughfare in the city here. It's not like a smaller secondary street. I live off of Barron Road, and that's 25 miles an hour on Barron Road seems pretty slow, but I agree with Mr. DeGaris that it, for safety reasons, the reasons that some slowing of that speed would be beneficial. I drive that daily as well, and to me, 30 miles an hour would be more appropriate than 25, and I think that would be beneficial as well.
And maybe we could put the speed sign that the police department has, and so people are aware of how fast they're going. Sometimes that slows them down when you put that sign up there and they see that.
Actually, we were talking about that today at lunch, and that trailer that we bought years ago is, it's beyond repair. It's at end of life, but
I just assumed it would last forever.
not to say that we can't purchase another one possibly next year, but
no,
because I think it does help.
He'll have one on the way tomorrow.
What are your thoughts, Chief? What are your thoughts on the speed limit there?
Well, I like the idea of putting the traffic assessment trailer up, and I think we could talk with Dave Wyman with the Highway Department, maybe get them to put one up there. They have some new ones, as you know, go on a telephone pole. They count cars. They're very accurate, probably more so than what we have with the rubber tubing on the other one. And without looking a little further into it, I kind of reserve my opinion until
get enough research,
get some accurate information from a week survey or maybe a 2-week survey and just see what it says. And I can certainly contact Mr. Wyman and see if we can't get that arranged if you want me to.
We've had them do that on other streets before, haven't we? Recently, I mean, within the last, we did one on West Maud Street, I know, so.
Well, I think it does slow down traffic when you have that monitor out, that sign out, because people are aware, they've got so much on their mind, and when that pops up and shows how fast they're going, they hit their brakes.
Right.
So I think that might be our first step. And then you get a wealth of information, like you said, you get traffic count and other information that would help us to see what the speed limit, what the traffic is flowing at.
I think in the past, we put the speed trailer at Mr. Standard's house and close to that, like one time we headed out there and somebody ended up hitting it, but.
Oh, no.
I'll check with Mike McLean tomorrow, see if it's where it will at least indicate the speed, but I'm not sure. I know it's, 10, 15 years old now. But
Well, I have a meeting with MoDOT on Wednesday. I can talk to him about it.
So, and I think the statistics you gave us on the accidents, that was in our package, I think that was very helpful to us too. So, I mean, I would entertain the idea of lowering that speed limit, but I would like to have that data or have that up there as a first step to see where we're at on it, if possible. Does council agree? Or?
Well, I feel like if the residents out there feel unsafe crossing the highway, we need to look at it and see what
Absolutely.
we need to do.
I think so too.
I don't think that dropping it by 5 miles an hour is going to make them blink. I think they're still going to fly down there. And I may get some disagreement, but I think 25 is the number it needs to be at.
It's a long road at 25 miles an hour.
It is. It seems slow, but I don't think dropping from 35 to 30 is going to keep them from doing 45.
I couldn't understand. I couldn't hear you saying 25.
I said I don't think dropping it
No, I
5
heard that
miles an
part.
hour is
But
going to make that big a difference.
25, is he for 25? I can't. You think 25
What I'm
is
saying,
good?
yeah, I think 25
Yeah.
is where it needs to be.
I mean, if the council, it's your choice. If you want to go,
Either one, the additional
Then Mr.
information would be
Standard
good for us to
wants to
look
say
at.
Absolutely.
come forward, please, Mr. Standard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you all hear me?
We'll need your name and address for the record.
John Stannard,
Thank you.
1310 Barron Road, Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Thank you.
63901. I'd like to ask, do you all have this? I'm the guy who requested this, okay? And I didn't plan on making a speech tonight, and I'm still not going to make a speech, but do you all have the information that I provided to the city manager? Have you read
It's in
it?
our
Have you
packet.
seen the numbers?
Yes, it's in their
Yes.
packet.
Okay.
It was very helpful.
I spent a couple of days on this, and I don't want to belabor it. There's lots of facts and figures in here, and they're accurate. There are 77 mailboxes, for example, between Main Street and the highway, and they're all on the same side of the road. That means about half that number of people have to cross the road to get to their mailbox. It's very difficult to get to your mailbox. And I happen to live in a place where there's a rise just east of me. I can't see over it. It's quite dangerous. Anything I say is anecdotal. I realize that just from my experience. But only today I had a close call with a woman who would not slow down, and I finally had to get out of the street and get behind my mailbox, and she came by within that close of the mailbox. She had no intention of respecting somebody trying to get their mail. So that happens all the time. And people, I'd say the average speed out there is easily 40 to 45 miles an hour, the average. And it's a 35-mile zone. If you drop it to 25, they're going to drive 10 miles. Most people think they can drive 10 over the limit. But if you don't go down to 25, there's no chance of improving anything.
Right.
So if you have this and you've read it, I won't belabor any of the other statistics, but believe me, it's not a good situation. We have a new subdivision going in
That's right.
off of Barron Road now, and that's going to increase it. Anytime something like that is added, it increases the traffic. But it's unbelievable how fast some people drive. It's extremely dangerous. They'll be driving 40 miles an hour, and somebody else will pass them driving 60 miles an hour. That happens all the time on that straight stretch from where I live on west for about a quarter of a mile. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to have that to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your research letter that you sent us. Is there any other discussion? Let's see, this is, tonight is workshop.
Yeah, it's just
workshop. So I would entertain a motion to move item D to the workshop session for August 28th.
That would give us time to get the data from the
It
police
would.
chief.
Mhm. The workshop, huh?
That's what you said.
I just said I would entertain a motion to move it to the workshop, from workshop to voting. I'm so sorry, yes. I got backwards again. Thank you for,
I think the council was a little confused.
I was too, wasn't I? Okay.
Well, we can try our best to get some more statistics
I'm
between
just
now
thinking,
and
how am I
then.
going to slow down because I drive fast?
You're
going to get a ticket.
I'm going to get a ticket.
There's not anything wrong with moving it to the next workshop session.
Right.
Would you like
do
to, so what is the count? Do you want to move it to the
Let's-
workshop session again? Or would you like to?
Yes, I would like that again.
Okay.
Motion
Okay.
that be moved to the next workshop and to obtain additional data.
Okay, so the motion is to, okay, motion and second is to move item D to our workshop session on August 28th. So it'll stay there, and then that'll give us time to get the data, and then we can make a decision and move. Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, the city council will review an approved list of vehicles and equipment to be sold through the Purple Wave at city auction. I believe each of you have this in your packet or on the table. This is an amended list on the desk.
Yes, you should have an updated list on your desk, and most of it's large equipment. We've used Purple Wave before and been very successful with them, and we've actually bought things off Purple Wave also, some equipment.
Any questions or discussion?
Motion for approval.
To move to the voting session to be held on August 28th?
Yes.
And a second? We have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, the city council will discuss requests from the planning department to approve a conditional use permit to install a manufactured home in an RS4 single-family residential zone. The property is located at 417 South D Street, Poplar Bluff, and the applicant is Crossroads Ministry, care of Jimmy Wagner, P.O. Box 1592, Poplar Bluff. Mr. Winters?
Thank you, ma'am. As the mayor stated, Crossroads Ministries, care of Jimmy Wagner, is requesting a conditional use permit to place a manufactured home that will be used as living quarters for Mr. Wagner and his family on the property where the old Hint School is, where the Crossroads is remodeling to house their ministry. The location is 417 South D Street, between Walnut and South D Streets. The surrounding use over there is residential, single-family housing. The applicant will use this manufactured home, as I said, for their personal use to ensure 24-hour care for the Crossroad Ministry clients who reside at the 416 South C Street. RS4 zoning designation was adopted in this area in 2001, specifically to allow manufactured and modular home uses by conditional use permit. This will be a single-family use only. All requirements for manufactured home installation will be met before a permit will be issued by the planning department. There are also other manufactured homes in this neighborhood, and the planning department recommends approval of this request, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do you have any
Are
questions?
there any questions for Mr. Winters? Thank you. So I entertain a motion to move item F to the voting session to be held on August 28th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, the city council will discuss the creation of a bulky trash pickup program. Mr. Messingham?
Yes, on your voting agenda tonight, you have the Adopt a Street program. That was kind of a first step of trying to help clean up Poplar Bluff, and I've actually had about a half a dozen calls, people inquiring about it, which I thought was good from the last council meeting. But code enforcement and I have been in discussion, gosh, for probably 6 or 8 months, if not longer, about what we're calling a bulky item pickup. We think this would be a great tool for code enforcement, even with the folks here that were here earlier this evening that possibly didn't have a way to haul a couch off or something like that. I'm just going to go through what I sent you all in your packet so the public will know what we're talking about. But bulky item pickup is designed to help residents that are not able to dispose of large items such as refrigerators, stoves, washers, dryers, water heaters, and other large appliances. Also large furniture items as mattresses, chairs, couches, etc. And this is really kind of modeled off of a program Dexter, Missouri has, which was brought up at our first and second residential housing board. Residents may purchase a bulk item tag from the city collector's office for $20. That would entitle them to 4 bulk items, meaning a couch, stove, refrigerator, and a dryer, or any combination thereof. Also, code enforcement suggested that tires may be put in the landfill if they're cut in quarters, and that's when we've always collected the tires as whole tires at the Buff up the Bluff, and then we had to pay $3 a piece to have those hauled off. About a month ago, we bought an attachment to our one of our pieces of equipment at the street department. We'll actually cut those tires into quarters, and we can then put those in dumpsters. So we are asking also that if they have tires they want collected, it'd be $3 per tire with a limit of 4 tires. As you know, when tires sit around and collect water, they also collect mosquitoes, and that's not ever good for the town. We don't want construction material, lumber, drywall, etc., or small items such as trash bags or regular household trash. None of that will be picked up. All residents in the city of Poplar Bluff are required to have trash service, and that's what that is for. We have the pickup days will be the second Monday of every month. Tags may be purchased from the city collector's office the week prior. No tickets will be sold the day of the pickup. There'll be no exceptions made on that. A list of items to be picked up must be turned in when purchasing a ticket. Items must be placed at the curb for easy pickup. Items may not be placed at the curb earlier than 48 hours before the pickup. And this program is for citizens in residential areas and no commercial property. We had probably met for an hour last week and went over all this and made a lot of different changes, but this is what we've come up here and or come up with, and I would entertain any more suggestions or any questions you have. We'd be glad to help answer them.
Would you say a word about who is the picker-upper?
Actually, the street department will be picking it up. Okay. We've talked to the person putting in the transfer station, and they said in the future when they get that built, they might be able to do a contract with us to go around and pick that up, because they would actually have a machine with claws, and which would be great. That'd be helpful for us. So, but at current, I guess you can say this is kind of a pilot program. We have no idea how much stuff we're going to have to pick up. We think it'll be quite a bit the first few months, and then it might slow down. But I just think this will be a great tool to help code enforcement also.
Would you go back and explain how many items are we going to be able to have picked up?
Up to 4 items.
For $20.
For $20.
For another 20, you could have another 4.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, we're kind of limited to $20 tags for that day, so if they want.
That day. Okay.
Right. Which actually isn't specified in here. And then $3 per tire with a limit of 4 tires.
Thank you.
I actually had a call today myself on somebody that had a couch and a few bulky items that they wanted to get rid of, and as an elderly lady and has no way to move it. And I think there's a real need for this. I think it's another step forward in trying to clean our city up as well.
Oh, I think so. And like they said earlier, the closest landfill's in Dexter. So hopefully when the transfer station's built, that will help a lot. But, the street department, the items like stoves and refrigerators and dryers, will be able to take those down to the scrap metal place. But I think it'll be very helpful.
All right, any discussion or questions from the council? Do we need to wait till Ron returns?
to you. I guess you
Right, that's right.
will be back.
We'll take just a brief minute here. So you might look into that and see, like, because sometimes you have more than 4 items, and if they don't have a full day, there's so many tickets that could be sold in a day, but it could be one person could buy 2 tickets possibly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But limit it to 1 at first, or look in to see, you know, if you could have 2, because there's many times that when we picked up, Matt and I, when I drove the yellow truck, when we picked up items, we couldn't get all of it in one load. And so I could see where somebody could, you know, and they couldn't pay somebody else to haul it off for $40, so.
No, they couldn't.
And our goal is to get it gone rather than, you know, and recapture some of the expense that we would have in our street department picking it up. So.
And we would have a dumpster, a large drop-off dumpster in a, not a public location, because I know what would happen. People would start bringing all their trash out there, but that would be for street department to get rid of the items they couldn't take to the scrap metal place. So.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion and second to move item G to the voting session to be held on August 28th.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item H, Mr. Steve Halter, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, will appear before the council to discuss a new tax abatement evaluation criteria for Zone 46, it's Enterprise Zone 46, recently approved by the Enhanced Enterprise Zone Board. Mr. Halter?
Steve Halter with the Poplar Bluff Chamber of Commerce, 1111 West Pine. Honorable Mayor McVeigh and council, thanks for allowing me to take some time to speak about this. Before I get into this subject, I just want to applaud you guys for your efforts on cleaning up the city. We're excited about it. It's definitely long overdue, and I know that it takes a while for those things to finally come through, but you guys are taking the right steps. As you know, we've been doing a lot of things with tourism, and part of that program that we have built in a Take Pride in Poplar Bluff video, social media video, and we're really close to launching that thing. We think it'll have a lot of success and just really coincide with what you guys are doing, so we appreciate that. I'm requesting tonight the city pass an ordinance that mirrors the evaluation criteria established by the Enhanced Enterprise Zone Board for Zone 46. The evaluation criteria passed the Enhanced Enterprise Zone Board unanimously on June 6th of this year, and the Butler County Commissioners unanimously passed it on June 11th of this year. The old city ordinance was passed 10 years ago and was set as a one-size-fits-all type of incentive. In your council packets, you should have the new evaluation criteria. It's more of a merit-based and is more commonly used these days in economic development. The things that it's based on are the number of jobs created, the amount of capital expenditures, the anticipated utility consumption, so that you're not just giving one benefit for everybody, whether they bring 1 job or 100 jobs, but you're giving more to the folks that bring more jobs, use more utilities, and invest more in our community. It's kind of the commonplace today, actually. I would also add that most manufacturers really expect your city and county incentives when it comes to enhanced enterprise zones to be equal and not have one better than the other. It's kind of confusing for those folks when they see that. Also, this is a time-sensitive issue. I'm working with 2 manufacturing prospects right now, one of which is looking at the certified site, which is in the enhanced enterprise zone. So it's kind of a time-sensitive issue. We really like to get this buttoned up as quickly as possible. The current ordinance that's out there actually ends in 2023, but the zone ends in 2033. So that's another issue we have is, as it stands right now, if we don't do something, then we're going to find ourselves 10 years within a zone that really doesn't matter if it exists or not, because there's nothing there to incentivize people to come to it. That's my request, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So currently, we're getting 100% of nothing.
Correct.
And this would be a possibility of getting
something, and definitely, hopefully, jobs in the long run.
Plus the excitement of new jobs.
Correct.
And I think it's good that you revisit it, especially after it's been 10 years. Things have changed.
Sure.
And to reconcile so that we are on the same page gives us equal playing field to have an incentive to be in the city as well as be in the county. Because
Right.
sometimes if you kind of get pitted against each other, this would keep it even.
Correct. And the certified site is within the city limits.
Yes.
So,
On 11th Street, if you're not familiar with where that's at.
yeah.
Any questions from the council?
Well, I think Mr. Halter works very hard at trying to locate new industry, and it's a very tough thing to do. You know, used to you had to compete with other cities in Missouri or the United States, and now it's a worldwide market. And I think it's safe to say if we didn't offer these incentives that there wouldn't be the jobs that we have down in the industrial park right now. So this could make us or break us on a factory coming down in the future. And I would hate to do that, so I think this is a good thing for the city and the residents. It definitely provides jobs.
It's exciting. Did you get something?
With that, I'll make the motion to move this to the voting session tonight.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And with that, we will move to our action required items. Item AA, Bill Number 8086. The City Council will take action on an ordinance accepting the right-of-way from Cripple Creek Transportation Development District.
Move first reading of bill number 8086.
Second.
First and second for first reading of Bill Number 8086. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting the conveyance of a road known as Shelby Drive as a dedicated street in the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Motion for second reading.
Second reading and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting the conveyance of a road known as Shelby Drive as a dedicated street in the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Move to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adopt Bill Number 8086. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby?
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton.
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Bill Number 8086 has been adopted. Item BB, Bill Number 8087. The City Council will take action on an ordinance creating an Adopt a Street program in the city limits of Poplar Bluff.
Motion for first reading of Bill 8087.
Second.
Motion is second for first reading of Bill Number 8087. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance creating an Adopt a Street program for litter control in the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Motion for second reading.
Second reading.
Motion for second
Show of
reading
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance creating an Adopt a Street program for litter control in the city of Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Motion to adopt bill number 8087.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt Bill Number 8087. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby?
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton.
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Black.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill Number 8087 has been adopted. Item CC, Bill Number 8088. The City Council will take action on an ordinance amending the 2018 fiscal year budget to include the special allocation fund.
Motion for first reading.
Second.
Motion is second for first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance amending the 2018 fiscal year budget for the city of Poplar Bluff to include a special allocation fund.
Entertain a motion for second reading.
So moved.
Second.
First and second for second reading of Bill Number 8088. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance amending the 2018 fiscal year budget for the city of Poplar Bluff to include a special allocation fund.
Motion for adoption of Bill 8088.
Second.
Motion and second for adoption of Bill number 8088. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Cornman,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 8088 has been adopted. Item DD, Bill number 8089. The City Council will take action on an ordinance selecting a bid for the Poplar Bluff Trails Project PP Highway for the walking bridge.
Motion for first reading of bill number 8089.
Second.
Motion is second for the reading of Bill number 8089, first reading of Bill number 8089. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the construction of the PP Highway Walking Bridge Project.
Motion for second reading.
Second.
Motion is second for second reading, Bill number 8089. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the construction of the PP Highway Walking Bridge Project.
Motion for adoption of 8089.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption of Bill number 8089. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby.
Councilman Cornman,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 8089 has been adopted. Item EE, Bill number 8090. The City Council will take action on an ordinance selecting a bid for the flood buyout project.
Motion for first reading of 8090.
Second.
Motion is second for first reading of Bill number 8090. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the Poplar Bluff Flood Buyout Project.
Motion for second reading of bill number 8090.
Second.
Motion is second for the second reading of Bill number 8090. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance accepting a bid for the Poplar Bluff Flood Buyout Project.
Motion for adoption of Bill 8090.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption of Bill number 8090. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 8090 has been adopted. Item FF, Bill number 8091. The City Council will take action on ordinance adopting the new tax abatement evaluation criteria for Zone 46.
Motion for first reading of 8091.
Second.
Motion is second for first reading, Bill number 8091. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance authorizing the adoption of a merit-based system to determine tax abatement in a designated enhanced enterprise zone, and further authorizing the extension of the period of abatement from January 22nd, 2023 to August 6, 2033.
Motion for second reading of Bill 8091.
Second.
Motion is second for second reading, Bill number 8091.
Get around, didn't he?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Richardson?
An ordinance authorizing the adoption of a merit-based system to determine tax abatement in a designated enhanced enterprise zone, and further authorizing the extension of the period of abatement from January 22nd, 2023 to August the 6th, 2033.
Motion to adopt bill number 8091.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption of Bill number 8091. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Kirby.
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton,
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
Bill number 8091 has been adopted. Item GG, the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the Open Meetings Law, Section 610.021.1, .2, .3, .9, .11, .12, .13, and .14 RSMO. Motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, Ms. Kirby?
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Horton.
Yes.
Councilman Cornman.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Black.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Yes.
And Mayor McVeigh.
Yes.
We have 7 yes votes.
We will move into the closed session after the city manager's report.
First of all, I want to remind everybody tomorrow is Election Day. We have the local use tax on the ballot. I know all of you know how important it is, but I just want to stress to the public that it's a very important issue. It's only fair to the local merchants. Basically, if you spend $500 on Amazon, right now you're already paying state tax. You would pay an additional $11.25 that would go to the city of Poplar Bluff. A lot of people I know never spend over $500 a year on Amazon, but it all adds up. And that would definitely be a big help to support everything we do in the Poplar Bluff. So I urge everybody to please go out and vote tomorrow. Wanted to let you know some of the proactive things we're kind of trying to do for, as you know, we've had flooding several times in the last few years, and it's kind of creeped into the South Poplar Bluff area. We've actually been working on the levee behind the UPS building down in South Poplar Bluff. We've built it up a little higher. And on Ashcroft Road, we've got about 3 places right now that we have to, when the water gets up, we put the flood wall up, we have to go down and build temporary levees. We're trying to get to where we don't have to do that. It takes a lot of time, a lot of manpower. And one of the things we're doing is we're going to build up a portion of Ashcroft Road, and it will actually it'll be sloped up and then sloped back down, so it'll actually become its own levee on that section. And then we've got 2 other places we're looking at to see what we could do. But that would be a big help. Like I said, it would cut down on manpower, and when you start getting close to having a flood, everybody's scrambling to get everything done they can, and this would definitely help. Also, I wanted to thank you all for voting the Adopt a Street program tonight. I think that's going to be a big plus for us. Like I said, I know a lot of communities have it. I tried to stress at the last meeting that that was actually Ed DeGaris, Councilman DeGaris' idea last year, and just got around to doing it this year. But at the end of the last meeting, Mr. DeGaris filled out an application and gave it to me to adopt his street that he lives on from 67 down to the end of the street. So I realize the ordinance says you have to clean up 2 consecutive times before you get a sign, but I kind of wanted to do a kickoff, so I just wanted to show everybody what the signs are going to look like. I was real pleased with it.
And they're looking to the camera there.
Thanks.
Okay.
That's great.
So this will go up on Ed Street fairly soon. The only thing we're
Fine
waiting on is trash bags, so probably the most important thing.
That's exciting.
But it's a metal sign. It's got the little logo. And anyway, I thought it turned out really good.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Councilman DeGaris, for stepping up to the plate and being the first one. Yeah. We had a few more bragging rights here, too. As you know, we attend a lot of government meetings, Missouri Municipal League, and there is a designation that we can earn by attending these and taking classes. Councilman DeGaris has one, Councilman Robert Smith has one, Mark Massingham, do you have?
Not yet.
You're not in that, Pam? I know I have one, and it is quite an honor, but tonight I'd like to recognize our Mayor Pro Tem Steve Davis, and there will be a press release that comes out that he has accomplished this prestigious designation of Certified Municipal Official from the Missouri Municipal League Governance Institute. He was created under the direction of the MML's Board of Directors and provide a training program focused on the important areas of municipal officials, professional staff needed for success. In order to achieve this high honor, a municipal official must complete 16 hours of training conducted on or endorsed by the Municipal Governance Institute. Through his attendance at statewide, regional, MGI-sanctioned educational events, Mayor Pro Tem Davis has received training in subjects such as council meeting procedures, parliamentary procedures, the Missouri Open Meetings laws, records, conflicts of interest, state ethics law, duties as mayor and council, tort liability, purchasing and bidding requirements, municipal revenue sources, personal law, and emergency management budgeting. All MGI graduates spend many hours over several years attending these workshops and lectures on finer points of municipal government, says Dan Ross, the Executive Director of Missouri Municipal League. Earning the CMO designation is significant achievement, and I commend our graduates for their dedication and motivation to become better informed and more effective municipal officials. The Missouri Municipal League was organized in 1934 and now serves more than 670 cities in the state of Missouri as recognized voice for the municipalities in Missouri. This voluntary membership program brings officials of cities and towns together in fellowship of public service and strengthens, guides local government in progressive, responsible fashion. The primary purpose of the League is to promote understanding of municipal government and administration in Missouri and therefore advance the welfare of the people. He will receive his plaque and recognition at our annual conference in September in Branson, and I think we all give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
This job is something we volunteer, we run, the citizens elect us to here, but again, I just appreciate you taking the next step and educating yourself on the duties that we carry in this position. Anything else to come before the council? Motion to adjourn.
So move.
We're adjourned. You want that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I'll make this brief.